guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I'm so excited for today's video because we have a very special chemist guest that is here to answer all of the questions that you guys had about shampoo formulations. And the conversation was so amazing. I really think that you guys are gonna find a ton of value in it, so I don't wanna sit here and talk anymore in this intro. Let's just jump right into it.
Hey everyone, my name is Alexandra Arriaga. I am a chemist, a public health practitioner, and a medical researcher, and also almost like a hair care influencer by accident. And Ali, thank you so much for having me today. This is amazing. I've actually been watching and consuming Abby's content way before I ever started like doing videos myself. So you're like one of the OGs. I love you.
Oh, I love you too. That's so crazy to me. So just for context quickly, I can't remember exactly like who first messaged who, but I remember when we first were messaging each other, I had been following you and just like, oh my God, this is so cool. She's this chemist. I feel like I have googly eyes over people like you because you have so much expertise in an area that I'm passionate about. And then when you had told me that you had already been watching my videos, I was like, what? And I remember I texted my mom, like, you'll never guess this. She already was watching my videos, like just so crazy. So
this is, you know, it's so hilarious because like the feeling was kind of mutual. Like I was super fangirling when you were like, oh my God, I love your content. I'm like, shut up. I've had like breakfast, like watching your YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, what the heck? So,
right. What are the odds of that? I love it. So yeah, so we have like messaged back and forth for a while. We still haven't met in person, but we will soon. The next time I'm in New York, 100%. Yes.
Miracle waits.
Yes, I know. So that'll happen soon. But yes, I'm super excited for everybody to just hear what you have to say, hear your perspective. I think that is important for me to bring on people that have more expertise than I do, and you definitely do when it comes to chemistry. So I have a list of questions here that everybody submitted through Instagram, and I kind of have it broken out by different categories. So I'll have little like text on the screen that just lets everyone know what category we're on, but then I'll just read the question off and I'll let you kind of take the floor so everyone can hear your thoughts.
Okay, sounds
awesome.
Like a plan.
All right, let's start off with question number one. What is the most important ingredient in a shampoo?
Surfactants.
Yes.
Like, of course. I mean, surfactants is what makes the shampoo. It's used for detergency effects. And I mean, most modern shampoos will use, you know, a blend of surfactants so that they can have like good foaming properties, build viscosity, and just enable conditioning polymers to work effectively. So that's the key ingredient for any shampoo.
Yes. And what do you think about, because I know that there are some products now that claim to be shampoos, but they don't contain surfactants. What do you think about things like that, where it's like the co-wash, but it's literally a conditioner?
You know, I think that, okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm the type of person that I need to see the ingredient list to tell you specifically what I feel, because these terms are not regulated. Like you can say co-wash and like it doesn't, I mean, there's no rules for that. So I would need to see the ingredient list. But personally, I think that everyone should use shampoo to control like how much sebum they have in their scalp and just wash that off and maintain proper scalp cleanliness. So honestly, like you don't need any fancy like co-washes or anything. Just use shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah, love it.
That's it.
You heard it here first, everyone. Okay, what are good things that we should be looking for in shampoo, of course, aside from surfactants?
You know, for me, this is my personal opinion. I think affordability of the product is a big factor. I generally don't think that you need to spend tons of money. Like the price doesn't really correlate with the benefit that you're getting all of the time. Sometimes, yes, some products will have more specialized ingredients, but in general, you just need to focus on what's affordable to you and what makes your hair and your washing experience feel nice. So whatever product you're using that you enjoy using, that keeps your scalp clean, your hair conditioned, and you can afford easily, that's the one you should be using.
Yeah, I totally agree. So to those that ask, like, well, are there specific ingredients we should be looking for? You would say, no, what you should be looking for is how it makes your hair feel.
Well, okay, caveat. I guess that if you have specific scalp conditions, like for example, if you have dandruff, then using a shampoo with ketoconazole or selenium sulfide might be helpful. Or for example, if you have, I don't know, seborrheic dermatitis, like there's specific things, specific actives that might help with conditions. But in general, if you're a person that doesn't have any scalp conditions and is just looking for a shampoo and a conditioner to wash your hair, focus on what you can afford and what you like. Do you like the scent? Do you like how it lathers? Do you like how it makes your hair feel afterwards? And that's, of course, assuming that there's no scalp conditions that need specific actives.
Totally. Yes, agreed. Sorry, 1 second. Elsie is grabbing onto a wrapper. Here, sweetie, do you want to come sit with me for a second? I was worried she was going to get noisy. Okay.
Hi,
This puppy.
what a cutie.
She's so sweet, but she's just in this phase where she's difficult when I'm working because she doesn't nap anymore. So she just wants to play all the time, has high energy all the time. So yes, it can be difficult for me to film. Okay, now I have her hair in my lip gloss. You shed, don't you, sweetie? Okay, next question. What ingredients should be avoided, if any?
Any ingredient you're allergic to should be avoided.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Yep.
It is not possible to avoid all substances in cosmetics that might cause a rare allergic reaction in someone, just like we can't avoid all foods to which someone might be allergic. So for cosmetic products, if you've been, diagnosed as allergic to specific ingredients, it is important to always check the ingredient list so that you can avoid that specific ingredient. But ingredients are not harmful when they're used properly by a cosmetic formulator.
Yep.
And like anything, the quantity is going to be key. So too much of anything can cause negative effects on the body. And literally that's the base of toxicity. So
yeah, I am sure this frustrates you even more than me, but even just in comments that I see, it shocks me how much I feel people don't really understand that concept. They'll see one ingredient and they're like, oh my gosh, that's toxic. And I'm like, why have we gotten to a point where we no longer trust chemists to do their job? Like, you guys know how to formulate products safely. It shocks me that that is the general sentiment on social media.
Yeah, so I think that there's multiple layers to that. I think that in general, just people are wanting to take care of themselves. And, I think that a certain level of skepticism in everyone is healthy. Like, I think it's fine. If you are unsure about something, I think it's completely fine for you to be like, hey, is that safe? And for you to want to search information. But it's like, there's people that spend years, decades of their lives studying these things. And so when someone that just did a Google search and tells you, oh no, but I read on Google, it's like we've been in the lab testing concentrations for like so long. And so I don't know, I just think that these ingredients, there's so much nuance, and like the concentration matters, how they're being used matters. Sometimes ingredients that you think are being used for just one thing are actually used for like a bunch of other things within the formula. So for someone that doesn't have a deep background in chemistry, for you to just look at an ingredient and say, oh, that's bad, it's like, no, that's come to people like me and like so many other fantastic cosmetic chemists are out there, and like ask your questions, or just watch this video. Yeah just use follow the advice of reputable sources, and science is always changing. So something that maybe was recommended like a few years ago, as more evidence comes up, maybe that might change. And that's why I feel like a lot of people are like, well, but like in the past people were saying this and now they're saying that. And it's like, yeah, well, because like when better evidence shows up, sometimes recommendations change. And that's part of being a scientist. Like, I'm not married to any of my beliefs or my current knowledge. The second good, reputable, peer-reviewed evidence shows up, I might change I'll probably change my mind. Like, I go where the science takes me. My opinion doesn't dictate my recommendations. It's the science.
That's such an amazing point. I think that's really important for people to remember, because I see comments like that all the time too. Like, well, you said this one thing 3 years ago, and I'm like, well, I didn't know as much as I do now, and things change. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. I feel like that next question we already covered with the first two. So the last one, and just kind of like general shampoo questions that I would love to hear your thoughts on, is, do you need to alternate shampoos to have healthy hair? This is something that I feel like I see a lot. Oh, I'm forgetting right now what the word people use. Oh, I think they're calling it like shampoo cycling, where it's like you have to change your shampoo or it gets like your hair gets used to it, is the myth I hear.
Okay. the straight up answer and then the scientific answer. Straight up, no. You don't need to cycle your shampoo. But there's some studies that have shown that different shampoo surfactant blends can remove different sebum components. So it's plausible that changing your shampoo might be useful at removing different parts of the sebum in your hair. So it's not necessary, but for some people, if they have a lot of oil in their scalp and they just tend to that like greasy or tend to have greasier scalps, it might be beneficial, but it's not necessary.
Okay, awesome. Let's move on to clarifying shampoos. So knowing that there aren't necessarily certain ingredients we need to be looking out for in general shampoos, would you say that there are ingredients in clarifying shampoos or detoxifying shampoos that people should be looking for?
So, I mean, the active ingredient in any clarifying shampoo is just a strong surfactant. And I mean, like we were talking earlier, surfactant is just a chemical that is responsible for that soapy feel of shampoo. And they're going to be removing oil, grease, impurities. And some of these clarifying shampoos will have surfactants like ammonium sodium lauryl sulfate, which is traditionally associated with like a stronger, deeper cleanse, or chlorides, bromides, sodium lauryl sulfate. So in reality, it's just the type of surfactant that is used.
Okay. How can you tell the difference between a clarifying shampoo and a gentle daily shampoo?
Read the label.
Yeah.
These are nowadays, most of these are just branded. And I think that the cosmetic industry has figured out that now consumers are getting more informed, and so they're just like, ooh, I want a clarifying shampoo because I'm using a bond building treatment later and I know that I have to use it. So the consumer is getting savvier, and so companies, I feel, are doing a better job at providing different products based on needs.
Totally. Okay. Is it okay to use a clarifying shampoo or sulfate-based shampoo every wash?
No. I mean, I personally think that if you have an oilier scalp, a clarifying shampoo can be very helpful. You don't have to use it every single time. Especially, I guess, this is when your user experience becomes really important. If you have a clarifying shampoo, for example, the Way clarifying shampoo, I feel like that one is mild enough that people can use it every wash without feeling like their hair is, dull or like dry. So it depends. Like if you use it every time and it works for you and it controls your sebum and you feel good, keep using it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting the variety of clarifying shampoos that we have now, because I feel like traditionally, if you saw that on a label, it would be paired with something that is a bit more harsh. But I feel like these days, there are a lot of shampoos that claim to be clarifying that I can use every wash, no problem. It leaves my hair feeling amazing. So yeah, I agree. There's quite a bit of variety now. Okay. Are certain ingredients in shampoo worse for naturally greasy hair?
Worse for naturally greasy hair. I don't think that there's ingredients that are worse. I think that if a shampoo has milder surfactants, people that have more greasy scalps might feel like they're not as good as in removing that sebum. But I mean, honestly, it's not like it's bad. It's just that some products might not be as effective. That's it.
Right. Okay, last clarifying shampoo related question. Should infrequent washers be using a shampoo with stronger surfactants every wash? So if somebody's, let's say, washing their hair once a week, twice a week, should they use something that has stronger cleansing agents?
It's not a bad idea. It might help clean the sebum more effectively. So again, I think it also comes down to the user experience. If you're not washing your hair as often, like it depends on why you're doing that. Is it because you don't have time, or like you just have that routine of washing it like that? Or is it because you have a scalp condition and like, I don't know, your doctor told you to only wash it with certain ingredients? Like it really depends. So I'm just like, look, if you first of all, you should wash your hair often to keep good, like a good scalp environment. I think that washing your hair once a week, it can be bad for a lot of people, especially if you have dandruff or anything like that. But if that works for you and you want to use a stronger surfactant and it works, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love just that seems to be a general theme with your responses, is that it just depends on what works for each individual person. I think that that's something that people get caught up in on social media, because there are a lot of people that have really strong opinions about hair care and what you should be doing. And so then people feel like, okay, well then I need to do what they're telling me to do. But hair is such a unique thing and our scalps are so unique and individualized. So I think that that's super important. And I just wanted to reiterate that it really depends on you. Yeah.
That's the golden point. Everyone's different. So, I mean.
Totally. Okay. I have a couple questions about silicones. First, do silicones make shampoo less effective?
No. Of course, no. Nowadays, nearly all shampoos contain like cationic conditioning polymers and silicones. So, yeah, no, they're good. They're fine.
I'm wondering, so something that one of the courses I took this summer, the chemists were talking about how it can be helpful to use a silicone-free shampoo because the silicones can sometimes interfere with the cleansing ability of the shampoo because they can deposit on the hair. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I think that's a good question. I think it depends on the type of silicone, because not all silicones are going to be the same. It really depends on their structure. So, and again, this is where I'm like, look, for the regular consumer, for you to be analyzing what silicones are in your product to make a decision, I think that shouldn't really be the case. I think that if it's in the formulation, it's probably been used in a way that is going to be aligned with the claim of that product, I would hope, right?
Right.
In a world where everyone is ethical and like the products are like as they should all be safe. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay. And I think, like, back to the point we were just saying, if you are using a shampoo that contains silicones or you feel like you're not getting a good cleanse, then you could just try something that doesn't have those ingredients. This one says, thoughts on dimethicone being high up in a shampoo's ingredients list. So yeah, I think it's kind of like going off of the last question. So if I have a shampoo that has dimethicone high up on the list, what are your thoughts, was the question that was asked.
I love dimethicone. It's great. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's gonna make your hair, like, dimethicone is so useful for many things, and if it's towards the beginning of the ingredient list, it means that it's there in a concentration potential. Well, it really, it depends.
Yeah.
But if ingredients are used at greater than 1% are listed in order of concentration. Those that are less than 1% can be included in any order, and so. But we don't know when that starts necessarily just by looking at the ingredient list. So again, I don't think it's problematic.
Okay. All right. Next category is hair loss and hair growth. The first question is, do any shampoos prevent hair loss?
Loaded question.
Yeah.
It depends on what type of hair loss prevention you're trying to treat. And I want to give a full disclaimer. I am a chemist. And a medical researcher and a public health practitioner. I am not a dermatologist. So I just want to say, if you're dealing with hair loss, your first course of action should be to consult a physician, right? That being said, I think that hair loss shampoo is only effective if you have a scalp condition. So for example, if you have like seborrheic dermatitis or like dandruff, right? Psoriasis. With those conditions, you might be losing hair due to inflammation. And any shampoo that helps reduce that and control that will inherently help with hair loss. But I don't think that would work, for example, with conditions like male pattern baldness.
Right.
You see what I mean? So if you have generalized hair loss, go to a physician, because a shampoo is not going to fix it. And even if a shampoo is able to help you, I think that you need proper diagnosis to know which active ingredients might be helpful.
100%. On the flip side, do any shampoos promote hair growth?
No. Okay. In my expertise, I just think it's just like promoting hair growth is such a weird thing, because you really need to to figure out what the definition of promoting hair growth is, because are they insinuating that it's going to promote more growth, like more hair follicles to appear? Is it that they think that the rate at which the hair grows is going to get faster? Like, I'm tempted to just say no. A shampoo is not really going to do that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Sorry, everyone, if you hear a lot of squeaking and... Hi, sweetie. I'll throw it to you on the side. Okay, next. Oh gosh, a couple drugstore related questions. This is a fun one. Are drugstore products actually toxic?
No. No, absolutely not. Also, and this is for those of you that are interested in science, let me teach you like a very basic property of toxicology. All substances are poisonous. There are none that are not, and the dose alone differentiates the poison from a remedy. That's like an actual quote. I forget, like, but it's like the classic quote that appears in toxicology books, and it's like, the dose makes the poison. That is just an overarching truth for all of this. So no, like the way that your drugstore products are formulated is meant to be safe, and the ingredients are used in concentrations that are not at a high enough dose to cause negative effects on your body.
Next drugstore question. Are drugstore shampoos really watered down?
Again, I think that it's really hard to generalize all drugstore formulations under one, just because there's so many different brands. I wouldn't say that they're watered down. In fact, some drugstore shampoos contain the same ingredients as higher end shampoos. So I don't think that the fact that it's being sold at the drugstore is like a sign that they're watered down or lower quality. I wouldn't make that association.
Agreed. The second to last category of questions all relates to ingredient specific questions. So the first is DMDM I don't know how to even pronounce this. Hydantoin? Is that how you say that? Hydantoin. Is DMDM Hydantoin safe?
So it's like, to give you some context, well, yes, but it depends on what dose, right?
Right.
It's like a crystalline substance that is normally used as like an antimicrobial agent and a preservative. And so it's safe as a cosmetic ingredient when it's used at the current normal levels, that you see in your cosmetics. And actually, let me find this. There's a reference. So the Cosmetics Directive of the European Union, as well as the Independent Cosmetic Ingredient Review Panel, agreed that it is safe at the levels that it's being used.
Amazing. Thoughts on formaldehyde and hair care?
Yes, awful. Avoid it. That I will actually say, like, do not use formaldehyde. And mind you, formaldehyde is not something that you're going to find in like a shampoo or a conditioner. Formaldehyde is normally found in straightening formulations. So, for example, like the Brazilian blowout or the keratin treatments, which are super popular in South America, where I'm from. So I personally, like, this is like a big topic for me. And formaldehyde, for reference, is a colorless, really strong smelling gas that is definitely hazardous when you breathe it or when it gets into your eyes or your skin. And it's been classified as a human carcinogen by the Agency for Research on Cancer, because when it's present at high levels or you have a prolonged exposure, it's been linked to certain types of cancer. So definitely avoid it. Even some products, especially if you're just doing one of those like Brazilian blowouts or something, some of them will say formaldehyde free, but they'll contain the liquid form of formaldehyde, which is called methylene glycol. So the best way to keep yourself safe is to read the ingredients. This is the one time where I'll actually tell you, advocate for yourself, grab the thing, read the ingredients, and look for formaldehyde, formalin, or methylene glycol. If any of those three are present, please do not use it. You do not need to straighten your hair for it to be nice. It's not worth the risk. So please don't use anything with formaldehyde.
But so like you said, that's not something that we would just like find in a shampoo or conditioner. Okay.
No.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Is sodium lauryl sulfate really terrible for your health?
No. No, especially, and I sound like what do you say, like a scratch disc?
A broken record.
A broken record. Yeah, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the dose matters. If it's at a very low concentration, like the one that is used in your shampoos, then you're gonna be fine. That's it.
Yep. Okay. Is isopropyl alcohol bad for your hair since it's considered to be a drying alcohol?
No, it's just, it depends on how it's being used in the formulation. So alcohol in hair care products can help emulsify other ingredients, thicken or soften a substance. They can condition your hair. They can help the hair absorb product. So, that alcohol in particular can help the hair shaft soak up like hair products. So it depends on the way that it's being used in the formulation. Just because it's present doesn't mean that your hair is going to be dried out. So I would not grab a bottle of anything and read that and say, oh, it's bad, because it depends.
Totally. Is citric acid always bonding? So I think this is in reference to lines like the red kinetic bonding concentrate line, which uses citric acid. So is that something that if a consumer sees that on an ingredients list, no matter what, they can assume it's bonding, or are there other purposes, is the question?
Yeah, so citric acid is an alpha hydroxy acid, and it definitely is mostly used to reinforce weakened hair bonds. So when you think about your hair, there are disulfide bonds that connect like sulfur molecules together, and when that bond breaks in the middle, then you're left with like two sulfurs that have a negative charge. And then basically what happens is that acids will donate a hydrogen ion, which is positively charged, and that's going to stick to the negative charges on the sulfur and basically seal off that cuticle and making it straight. So anytime that you have citric acid or something like highly acidic, that's kind of like the mechanism of action. That's kind of what happens. And so, yes, it definitely helps repair weakened bonds every single time you use it. And it's super effective, and it's such a great ingredient.
Yes, it is great. Also, though, used as a buffering agent, right, in products. Yeah. So if it's at like the bottom of a label, then that typically is for that purpose and not bond repair, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So normally in bond repair products, you'll see it at a way higher concentration.
Yes. Yes. Last ingredient specific question. Should we avoid parabens?
No. You don't need to avoid anything. Formaldehyde.
Yeah.
Avoid that. Yeah. But in general, no. Parabens get such a bad rep that is unnecessary. The thing I hear the most is like they're endocrine disruptors.
Yep.
And so I've prepared a whole spiel for you. So
I love it.
The World Health Organization defines an endocrine disruptor as an exogenous substance or mixture that alters function of the endocrine system and consequently causes adverse health effects. Okay, so the crucial thing is that an endocrine disruptor causes negative health effects or adverse health effects in the whole body, right? And so I just don't think that parabens at the concentration that they're used in your cosmetic products are going to be able to remotely cause any adverse effects. So again, the concentration matters, the dose matters, and parabens are very effective when used at the concentrations that they're commonly used, and you do not need to be afraid of them.
Love it. Okay. A few random questions to wrap up. What should you look for or avoid in a shampoo if your goal is volume?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think that volume, and like when they say volume, do they mean like volume, or do they mean like volume, right?
Yeah, I think that people that have like really fine and or thin hair feel that their hair falls flat or just doesn't have that voluptuousness to it. Okay,
my gut instinct is to tell you that I don't think shampoo is going to be the biggest like the key stakeholder when it comes to volume. Because I think that volume is mostly achievable through how you style your hair and also the products that you're using as you style it. Because I can use any shampoo, and then if I use like a root volumizer and I blow dry my hair like with my head down, I'll get way more volume than if I use a shampoo that says good for volume.
Right. Right.
You know?
Would you agree, though, that if that's the main goal, then they should make sure that they're using a shampoo that is effectively cleansing? Because I feel like sometimes when that happens, they're using a product that isn't cleansing enough, and then their hair is kind of weighed down because it doesn't have buildup removed.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
So if you're a person that has finer hair, sulfates are your friend, especially at the root. And if you're the type of person that you're like, oh my God, I'm using, my roots are oily, but my ends are dry. What do I do? You can definitely still use a shampoo that clarifies your roots and cleanses and really allows you to have like that feeling of, oh, my hair's not stuck to my scalp. And then just use a nice oil on your ends or like a serum and problem solved.
Yeah. Are reparative shampoos bogus?
Define reparative.
So I think they probably mean, is it actually possible to repair bonds with a shampoo and not like a bond repair treatment? That's my assumption.
I don't think that shampoo is enough. Shampoo, the time of contact that shampoo has with your hair is very limited. Most people, because everyone is, watching videos on social media, I feel like most people by now are like, I use shampoo on my scalp, I don't use it on like the length of my hair. So if you're one of those people, how do you expect to get any bond repair if you're not even trying to use the product or concentrate the product there? So in general, I think that the specific treatments that you leave and let act for whatever amount of time the product suggests are going to have way better effects than if you just grabbed like shampoo and like quickly just rubbed your scalp and then washed it off. Totally. I think that's kind of obvious though, right? Like, yeah, you need contact.
You would think, but I don't know that everyone like thinks through those things all the time. So
that's fair.
Okay, last question. Does shampoo have a big effect on shine and appearance of hair?
Yes, but not in the way you think. So the answer is yes, because if you use a shampoo and then you don't follow up with a conditioner, your hair's gonna look like hay. So well, and again, it depends on the shampoo, like, right? There's some that have conditioning agents in there, but I personally think that shampoo should never be the last thing you use. Your hair needs conditioning agents to neutralize the negative charge that is left in your hair by shampoo. If we remember from like science class, negatively charged like charges repel each other. So when you use shampoo, your hair strands are negatively charged and they can repel each other, and that causes coarseness, breakage. So the conditioning agent is going to be key to prevent that. So yeah, like shampoo can definitely affect the shine and appearance of your hair if you only use shampoo and don't condition afterwards.
Right. Amazing. Okay, well, that was the last question. So that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I can't wait for everyone to watch it. I feel like this was so informative. Before we wrap up, let everyone know what your social handles are, and I'll put them in my description box, but I want everyone to go follow you everywhere.
Oh my God, thank you. Well, my social media, my TikTok and my Instagram are at Alexandra Arriaga. It's my name. And yeah, so hopefully, I'll see you there. Feel free to, I'm very responsive in the comments. So if you ever have a specific question, let me know. Or one of the most common DMs I get are, hey, Alex, like this is the ingredient list. What do you think? So maybe we can make another video about common ingredient lists.
Yeah, I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much. This was awesome. You're the best. I'm so glad we got to talk. Okay, we'll chat soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, of course. Bye.